This man saved a puppy and raised it with all his love until he discovered it was a wild predator. Silas, a dedicated forest ranger, found solace in the wilderness. His passion for camping and researching the forest fueled his commitment to its protection. Little did he know that a routine expedition would change his life forever. One crisp morning, Silas ventured out to refill his water bottle from a nearby river. Upon returning to his camp, he noticed unusual movement. Instinctively, he reached for his weapon, suspecting an intruder. As he cautiously entered the campsite, his eyes widened in shock. There, nestled near his blanket, lay a small puppy covered in snow, its breath labored and weak. Silas's heart raced as he realized the poor creature must have been desperately searching for warmth before collapsing in his camp. Without hesitation, he decided to help the little one, gently scooping it up and heading to his nearby cottage. Inside, Silas quickly lit a fire and placed the puppy close to its warmth. As the snow melted away, he noticed something odd. The puppy began to shy away from the flames. Concerned, Silas examined the animal more closely and discovered a severe injury on one of its legs. His stomach turned as he realized this was likely the work of hunters who often harmed innocent wildlife. Pushing aside his anger, Silas focused on providing first aid to the puppy's leg. He then tried to coax it to sleep, but his worries were far from over. The next morning, he awoke to find the little one burning with fever, the wound clearly more severe than he'd initially thought. With a heavy heart, Silas knew he had no choice but to take the puppy to a veterinary hospital. The diagnosis was grim. The leg would need to be amputated to prevent the spread of infection. Though it pained him to see such a young creature lose a limb, Silas knew it was necessary for its survival. As he brought the recovering puppy back to his cottage, Silas's mind raced. How could this small, vulnerable animal possibly survive in the wild now? The thought of it falling prey to larger predators sent a chill down his spine. In that moment, Silas made a life-changing decision. He would keep the puppy and name her Luna. The bond between Silas and Luna grew slowly but steadily. At first, she was hesitant even to eat from his hand, but as days turned into weeks, trust blossomed between them. Little did Silas know that this was only the beginning of an extraordinary journey. As Luna grew, Silas began to notice peculiarities about her. She was unusually tall for a dog, with sharp teeth, more reminiscent of a wild animal. Her dietary preferences were odd, too, as she consistently ignored typical dog food. Despite these quirks, Silas's affection for Luna only deepened. One fateful day, as the pair embarked on their usual walk through the forest, they encountered two wildlife experts. At first, the men paid little attention to Luna, but suddenly, one of them recoiled in shock after noticing her teeth. They exchanged worried glances before one cautiously approached Silas, whispering something that made his blood run cold. Silas's mind reeled as he pieced together the clues. Luna's appearance, her eating habits, her wild instincts. The realization hit him like a thunderbolt. Luna wasn't a dog at all, but a wolf. How could he have been so blind? Back at the cottage, Silas grappled with this newfound knowledge. Yet, as he watched Luna's gentle demeanor and recalled her unwavering loyalty, he knew that his love for her remained unchanged. If anything, their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Months later, on a frigid winter morning, Silas awoke to find Luna behaving strangely. Her eyes were filled with a desperate hunger he'd never seen before. Realizing he was out of meat, Silas knew he had to brave the elements to find food for his companion. Despite Luna's insistence on accompanying him, Silas locked her safely inside the cottage. The snowy landscape was treacherous, and he worried about her fragility. As he trudged through the snow, fishing rod in hand, an eerie feeling crept over him. Returning with his catch, Silas's instincts screamed danger. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end as he spotted a pack of wolves watching him from the tree line. His heart pounded as he realized the gravity of his situation. These predators saw him as nothing more than their next meal. As the wolves charged, time seemed to slow. Silas braced himself for the inevitable, grateful that at least Luna was safe in the cottage. But fate had other plans. Just as the pack closed in, a blur of fur and fangs erupted from the trees. Luna, having somehow escaped her confines, stood defiantly between Silas and the approaching wolves. Her eyes blazed with a fierce protectiveness that took Silas's breath away. How had she freed herself? How had she found him? The pack hesitated, clearly confused by Luna's behavior. But as they noticed her missing leg, their hesitation turned to aggression. They attacked en masse, and Luna fought with a ferocity Silas had never witnessed. Tears streamed down Silas's face as he watched Luna battle against impossible odds. He cursed himself for his helplessness, for never teaching her to hunt or defend herself. As the fight raged on, Luna's strength began to wane. Their eyes met in a heart-wrenching moment of understanding. She wanted him to run, to save himself. Silas, though heartbroken, knew he couldn't risk Luna's sacrifice being in vain. With unimaginable anguish, he turned and fled towards the cottage, Luna's sacrifice etched forever in his mind. Upon reaching safety, he discovered the broken side window, Luna's escape route. The weight of guilt and grief threatened to crush him. Unable to bear the memories, Silas resigned from his position as forest ranger and left the cottage behind. Years passed, and he built a new life, a wife, a daughter named Leah. Yet, the void left by Luna remained, an ever-present ache in his heart. 2 years after that fateful day, Silas felt an inexplicable pull to return to the old cottage. Heeding this instinct, he planned a family trip to his former home. As they arrived, Silas was struck by how little had changed. The cottage stood as a silent sentinel to his past. Each morning of their stay, Silas noticed fresh wolf tracks near the door. Curiosity piqued, he decided to keep watch one night. As dawn broke, his vigil was rewarded with a sight that defied belief. There, sitting patiently before the cottage, was a 3-legged wolf bearing the scars of a hard-fought life. Silas's heart leaped into his throat as recognition dawned. It was Luna, alive and grown into a magnificent adult. Overwhelmed with emotion, Silas flung open the door and embraced his long-lost friend. Luna's tail wagged furiously as she nuzzled against him, their reunion a testament to the unbreakable bond they shared. As Silas recounted Luna's incredible story to his awestruck family, the wolf suddenly turned and disappeared into the forest. Their disappointment was short-lived, however, as Luna returned moments later, this time accompanied by a small wolf cub. The significance of this gesture was not lost on Silas. Luna, having survived against all odds, now sought to introduce her own family to the human who had shown her such compassion. As the wolves tentatively entered the cottage, joining the human family within, Silas marveled at the twists of fate that had brought them to this moment. In that small cottage, surrounded by the forest that had witnessed their extraordinary journey, 2 families, one human, one wolf, found themselves uniquely intertwined. The bond between Silas and Luna, tested by time and tragedy, emerged stronger than ever.